What's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 13 4 key game picks. Let's get into the current AFC and NFC playoff seedings. Beginning in the AFC, the Pittsburgh Steelers still currently hold the 1 seed. The Patriots still currently hold the 2nd seed. The Jaguars now have moved to the 3rd seed. The Chiefs are now the 4th seed. The Tennessee Titans and the Ravens are holding up the wildcard spots at 5 and 6. In the NFC, the Eagles currently still hold the number 1 seed. The Vikings are the 2nd seed. The Rams now have moved into the 3rd seed. The Saints go to the 4th seed. Panthers and the Falcons rounding up the wildcard spots at 5 and 6. Before I get into some quick thoughts here from week number 12, I need to clarify a couple of things about something here. Now, I've read some of your comments that were posted. I read some comments last week that I got into. The one that interests me the most was that your picks were obviously made for good money. Let me clarify something here. Now, if that was really true, wouldn't you think I would have a better setting, better equipment, better video editing software and all that? I mean, I'm lucky I could barely afford a lot of the stuff I have right now. Because, you know, I work very, very hard. I mean, like I said, this is not my main job. I do have a 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 type of job. I really do. This is just really for entertainment purposes only. What I mean by that is that if you use my 4 key game picks for gambling purposes, if you use it, I'm not responsible for your losses. That's on you. So to clarify this, I don't make money doing these videos. Number one, you can call me a liar all you want on this. I don't make any bleeping money from doing these videos. I do this. These main points of this videos here is, to my opinion, I consider maybe the best games that come out of a particular NFL week. And I may say like the number spread or anything and all that. Look, it's only to make it a little bit more interesting for the video. Okay? I don't make money off of these videos, number one. And number two, if you use my videos for gambling purposes, I'm not responsible for your losses. Plain and simple. Don't blame me for that. Okay? That's all I'm going to clarify. All right, very quick thoughts from week number 12. Let me begin in the AFC West. It's gotten more interesting. The Chiefs now have lost. They've lost the last few games. And what's making it even more interesting, teams like the Chargers and the Raiders, despite their record, they're creeping up in the standings in the AFC West. They could get back to 500 and possibly take over first place. The Chiefs have completely fallen apart. I don't know what is going on with this team. It either could be just poor play by Alex Smith. The running game didn't even look that effective either last week. I really think the entire blame should be the entire team itself. They're just not playing with a sense of urgency. And if you have to come down for it, we're now getting close to the final 4 weeks of the regular season. If somehow let's be real about something here. It would be devastating if somehow the Raiders or Chargers ending up stealing this division. And if that happens, the way the Chargers and the Raiders and the Broncos are playing right now, Broncos are pretty much out of it now. They're way behind in the West. They're in last place. By some miracle that the Chargers and the Raiders somehow end up winning that division, it wasn't because they won that division. It was because Kansas City choked. You played the first half of they played the first half of the season good, and then all of a sudden, they played like crap. So really, right now, if you're a Charger or Raiders fan right now, you got to be pretty excited right now. You actually have a shot. When it looked like the Raiders and Chargers were left for dead. The NFC South continues to tighten up. Buccaneers are, I don't know how, mathematically they're still in it, but the Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons, all 3 of these teams now in contention in the playoffs, and one of them will only end up winning the division, while the other 2 will end up playing wild card games. This really has become really the best division in the NFC, maybe the entire NFL itself. Eagles still currently hold the 1 spot. The only danger I see out of Philadelphia is themselves, if they beat themselves. But the only threat I can see to Philadelphia is really the Minnesota Vikings, because the way they're playing right now, they may be the only threat that Philly has. And one more thing I got to clarify here on something here. As of the time of this video, as I heard the news that's coming out of, if you're a Giants fan right now, you got to be despondent right now. Or what has transpired right now, what happened with Eli Manning and the way Ben McAdoo handled the cute quarterback situation right now. Eli Manning's been benched. And that to me, look, I'm not the biggest Eli Manning fan, okay, because of the whole thing with him, Phillip Rivers, and the Chargers, what happened in the draft over 10 years ago. But really, this was the guy that led the Giants to 2 Super Bowls, upsetting the Patriots twice. And Ben McAdoo ends up going with Geno Smith in the upcoming week. That to me is just devastating. I could not believe my ears when I heard that these last few days. That is really just devastating. I don't think he should be benched. I don't think Ben McAdoo knows what he's doing. And I really think Ben McAdoo should be fired. I don't know why the Giants did not fire him since last week's terrible game against the Redskins on Thanksgiving night. I don't know how he still has a job. I really think he should have been fired after last week. Anyways, guys, let's get into my picks. Alright, let's begin with key game number 1. It is the Washington Redskins at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are a 1.5 point favorite in this one. Now, last week, with the Redskins beating the Giants last week, it really wasn't a pretty game. They only beat the Giants by 10 points. Kirk Cousins going 19 of 31, 242 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and 1 interception. So he didn't have the best game of his life, but they stuck together. They found a way to beat the Giants, and they ended up winning. Now Dallas, they're falling apart. Prescott went 20 of 27, 179 yards, no touchdown passes, and intercepted 2 times last week in that Thanksgiving game against the Chargers. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be it for the Cowboys. If they don't somehow beat the Redskins in this game, you can pretty much say sayonara to their playoff hopes. Mathematically, they're still alive. But I just don't think now, if they lose to the Redskins will have a much better chance because they have a better schedule ahead than the Cowboys do. And I think, to me, if the Cowboys don't win this game, they're done. I don't see them making the playoffs at all. You might have some slimmer hope, Cowboys fans, but if you lose to the Redskins, it's over. I don't see you guys bouncing back after this. Now, Washington, the Redskins offense is about as evenly matched with the Cowboys the way that both teams are playing right now. Defense-wise, Redskins just a tad better than the Cowboys' defense is because the Cowboys are really missing some key players. Not a sure pick here. This is a very evenly matched game. But my pick, you got to go with the Redskins here. Now, I don't know how the Cowboys are favored in this one. I really think the odds should have been even in this game, but apparently the Redskins are the favorite. I mean, the Cowboys are the favorite, excuse me. But I like the Redskins in this game. I think their offense will click together again like they did last week to beat the Giants. The Cowboys are just falling apart. The Cowboys need this game more than the Redskins do, but I just see the Redskins beating them. Plain and simple. I'm picking the Redskins here. Redskins go with the Cowboys. Key game number 2. The Minnesota Vikings at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are a 3-point favorite in this one, and I do not agree with that. I think that number should be much lower, maybe to 2, maybe 1.5. Now, I know you're going to say, okay, why do you think that way? Look, the Falcons are lucky they're getting on a groove here. But when you're playing a very hot Minnesota Vikings team right now, this team is on fire. Keenum is making a case right now after what the Rams did to him. Keenum last week against the Lions, 21 of 30, 282 yards, 2 touchdown passes. He's really done a fantastic job, and there really is no quarterback debate between him and Terry Bridgewater. Now, Atlanta, they were barely able to win last week. Ryan went 26 of 35, 317 yards, and only 1 touchdown pass. This is going to be a make-or-break game for the Falcons as they're trying to creep up to at least try to catch the Saints for the division. But the way the Vikings are playing right now, this is kind of a roadblock for the Falcons here. Minnesota's offense slightly is a tad a little bit more in the advantage. Defense-wise, both are evenly matched. So expect a very tight game here. This is not another sure pick here. I like the way the Minnesota offense is playing right now. Atlanta's offense, they're just barely clicking together. They're finally getting back on track, but I just think Minnesota's offense is going to be a little bit too much for Atlanta's defense to handle, and that is why I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings here. The Vikings offense, really, they're getting on a groove, and Case Keenum is really playing as a guy who is possessed and is on a mission. And that's why I like the Vikings in this game. I'm going to stick with that. Vikings over the Falcons. Key game number 3, a big one, very big one in the NFC, continuing in the NFC South. Panthers at the Saints. Saints are a 4-point favorite in this one. It could be much lower. Now, key stats in this from both teams from their respective games last week. Newton winning 11 of 28, 168 yards, no touchdown passes, and no interceptions. So, and Drew Brees against the Rams, even though against the Rams they lost, but he went 22 of 32, 246 yards, and 1 touchdown pass. The Saints overall played to an exception. I personally think better than the Panthers did. The Jets almost came back and tied the Panthers. Panthers were lucky to win that game last week. The Saints, they trailed most of the game against the Rams last week, but they still made it a game, and they only lost by 6 points. So this is actually a very evenly matched game here. This game, I think, will go back and forth. This could go either way. This is another game that's not a sure pick here. Both offenses are about evenly matched. Defense-wise, I give a little bit of an advantage. Okay, forget what I said there. Offense and defense, they're pretty evenly matched. So it's going to come down to who controls the ball more, who controls the clock, and who does not turn the ball over. That's going to be key to who wins this game here. I kind of like what Carolina is doing. Carolina really getting on that groove, and Newton right now and their offense. I mean, you got to watch his mobile ability because he's been running a lot this season. Very tough pick here. This game pretty much may decide the NFC South division right here. Who do I got in this game? I'm going to go on out on the upset here. I think the Panthers are going to go to New Orleans and beat them. Now, the Saints already beat them earlier in the season, but I think this is going to be the game. I think that Newton and their offense gets back on track. Now, I know both teams are suffering injuries right now. Both teams are about as evenly matched because of it. Offense and defense, that's why. But for some reason, I see Carolina winning this game. It's like I said, this is just a prediction here. It's really tough to say who wins this game here. But the way the Panthers offense and a little bit more of the running game, they tend to have the better running game than the Saints do. But this is as evenly matched game as I've seen these two teams played in probably many years. But I'm picking the Panthers here. I smell an upset here. Despite the Saints being a 4-point favorite in this one, I see the Panthers going into New Orleans and then beating them in a very close game. And I'm going to stick with that pick. Panthers over the Saints. And finally, key game number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Seattle Seahawks. Eagles are a 6-point favorite in this one, and I agree. Seattle is banged up. Injuries are catching up to them. Even though Russell Wilson, the offense, he's practically carrying this team right now with all these injuries that the Seahawks have had. Key stats from their games last week. Carson Wentz going 23 of 36, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, in pretty much a blowout win against the Bears. Now, Wilson, they were playing the 49ers, Wilson and the Seahawks. They played the 49ers last week. They struggled in the first half, but then they turned it around in the second half. Wilson going 20 of 34, 228 yards, 2 touchdown passes, but 1 interception. When you have a team that's banged up, and you're going in to possibly face the best team in the NFL this season, I don't know how you're going to beat this team if you're not 100% healthy. This is actually probably the easiest pick of the video here. Eagles, definitely. Got to go with the Eagles here. Eagles will hang on. This is important for them to hold on to the number 1 seed, and for Seattle to keep their playoff hopes alive. But you're hitting a roadblock here in this week's in week number 13 here with possibly the best team in the NFL this season. Eagles here, you definitely got to go with the Eagles here. I don't with the defense banged up on the Seattle side, and you're at home. You probably would have more of the advantage here, but the Eagles are going to be too much for the Seahawks defense to handle if none of them are healthy. No Sherman, no Chancellor. It's going to be tough for the Seahawks to beat the Eagles here, and that's why this is an easy pick here. You got to go with the Eagles here. I don't see Seattle any way even competing with this good offense that the Eagles have. Very easy pick here. Eagles over the Seahawks. All right, everybody, that wraps up my picks for week number 13. For all of my week 13 picks, please go to the sportblog.blogspot.com. And, guys, I will catch you all next week when I talk about my picks for week number 14. And enjoy this football weekend, everybody, and I'll see you guys all next week.